Anyways, we're in good shape. So we're going to move from materials and take a look at adding Entourage. Now, I got to tell you that whenever I add the Entourage objects, you really want to make sure that you set up your view first. So we're gonna set up our camera angle, and then we're only going to populate the areas of the model that are showing up in our camera view. All right. So during this demonstration, we're gonna add some layers, and we're gonna add an import layer, and that's where all of our imports land. And then we're gonna add, and these aren't my standard layers, but what we're gonna do for this one is gonna be all seasons, and then winter, spring, summer, and fall. That way we can have different looks for each one of the different seasons and add those seasonal objects to the appropriate layers. All right. So first things first, let's hop back into Lumion and add some layers. All right. So we'll move over to our Objects tab. On the Objects tab, I'm going to go to the top here, and you can see that we have 5 layers. All right. So we can add in, I'm going to rename my layers. I'll call this one Imports, like that. And then I'll click on layer number 2, and we're going to call this one All Seasons. And layer number 3 will be Winter. And let's back that up. So winter, and then spring, and summer, and fall. And we got to add a layer. All right, so we'll go to layer number 6 now and call this one Fall, like that. Perfect. Now you can see which layer is active because that active layer, it kind of lingers behind. So right now layer number 6 is active, and that layer is Fall. All right, and then if I select an object like this imported model, you can see it should be on imports, yeah, because that's the layer that we started on. So imports is live. All right, so anything that I import goes on my imports layer. All seasons is going to get things like our cars, and then each of the different seasonal layers is going to get people that are either wearing shorts or they're going to be in a winter coat, and then also seasonal objects like leaves and some lights too. We'll goof with that. All right, so we're in good shape. We've got our layers set up. So right now, it's kind of nice about Lumion. It's pretty easy to just kind of throw some stuff in your model and then relayer it after the fact. So right now, I'm really going to work on summer. That's kind of the rendering that I'm going to focus on. So we'll start there, and then we'll move things around. So we need to add a couple of different object types. But before I do any of that, I want to go over to photo mode, and I'm going to pick my view. All right, so I kind of showed you guys that view already. We're going to go here and set our focal length for exteriors. I always double click on this slider, hit backspace a couple of times, and then type 35, enter. All right, so this way my focal length is at 35, and that's just kind of a good, it's like more in tune with the way that we see the world. And so that way your renderings don't look super distorted or like a fisheye. All right, and then you can always click set eye level at 5'3", and you can click to set your kind of eye level at the horizon essentially. All right, and then so I'll just snapshot the camera, and we can always tweak this around, but I just want to kind of get something in place where I'm seeing the whole building, I'm seeing only the pieces that we modeled, and I might even just kind of back out into the right a little bit just to catch a little bit more of the parking spaces, because that's going to make some decent context to fill this in, and then I'll snapshot that view. All right, so whenever you're in this view, you can always click on Build with Effects, and that kind of gets you right back to your image, and now you can populate your image. And if you kind of move your image around like that, you can always get back and then hit Build with Effects again. So that's what I've been using a lot lately to make sure that I'm only populating the parts of the model that I really need. All right, so I need to populate with some trees back here. We're gonna go with, I think there's some oak trees and back here. So let me go to, I'll just go to Build with Effects. That's fine because we don't have any effects right now. It's pretty lightweight. And I'll kind of zoom up like this, and you can see that like I need to populate this area back here, and I need to populate this area back here. All right, so I can go to my place mode, and I can go to my nature library, and let's go first with the search and type in, I'm gonna type in oak. Let's see, is that what I wanted? And I think it was elm. I think that's what I was going for. Yeah, this is the one that I worked on and in the tutorial. So we'll go with American Elm 2. And so now that one is ready to be placed. And you can see, basically, I'm gonna like layer it all in right here. So you could be real meticulous and, you know, place these all in there. Or what I like to do, especially when I'm kind of layering the landscape on, is hold control. And I can dump, you know, 10 of these trees at a time and kind of get the look I'm going for like that, all right? So I'm gonna go back to photo mode and check my view. So there we go. So we've got our nice tree line in the back, in the left corner. And now I'm gonna go and do the tree line over here. And that's kind of at the end of this sidewalk. And so we'll go back again to place mode, hold control. And I'm kind of making a point to make sure that I'm dumping these on the top of the hill, and some of them are dropping at the back of the hill. That way I'm gonna get plenty of these objects to really fill in. And so, you know, I could also kind of come back here and maybe plant a few more like that. All right, so let's go back to photo mode and take a look at my camera view. That looks really good. So you can see in the left side, I've got, you know, I'm seeing some sky. That kills a view for me. But on the right side, it's looking really good. You know, I layered more in the background, so we're in good shape. So I'll do this. I'm gonna go back to build mode and then zoom up again, and then we're gonna hold control and just add a few more clicks like that. So we're just adding bundles of trees. And then I wanna layer in the different effects. So I'm gonna type in box, all right? And so this boxwood is just a good kind of ground cover or shrub that I can just kind of put in, and it fills in low, all right? So that way I get plenty of coverage, and then you get some variation in your landscaping. So like that, and we'll go back to our photo mode and then go back and check our camera. So I think we're in pretty good shape. You can see there's one little glimmer of sky over at the left. I'm okay with that. We won't agonize over it. But in the right side is perfect. And I have a feeling that's gonna fill in as we add more. All right, so we've got all of our trees. We're in good shape there. And let me hop back into build mode. And let's just go to our select tool, and you can see that we were adding these objects. These trees are going on the layer called summer. All right, so that's where those guys live. Now, the last part of adding some trees in is we really want to add some more ornamental trees. So I'm gonna go back over here to our photo, and we're going to check this and go with build with effects. And then I'm gonna go to place, and I'm gonna type in linden, all right, like that, L-I-N-D. And here's like a small common linden, all right? So you could use that. This one is a little bit bigger. And so I'm just gonna kind of place these where I think they'll look pretty cool. Something like that will be nice. And see, this is gonna be my view, so I really want that tree to be like kind of right at the side of my view. Maybe I'll go, and I'm just kind of checking over here. Maybe I'll go with like this smaller one and plant the tree lawn. Yeah, maybe something like right here would be good. Like that and like that. Of course, any of this stuff can change, no problem, like that. All right, let's check our view. I'll click return to photo mode, and here we go. So you can see that the one tree on the left-hand side, that one probably needs to move a little bit closer to me. So I'm gonna use that move tool and just kind of slide this thing towards the corner there. Looks good. All right, let's check our view again. And of course I could adjust and move my camera around, but I'm pretty satisfied with that as far as like filling in with the background landscape. So I used the mass placement, or the cluster, I used cluster placement by holding control and clicking, and that's how I dropped 10 trees at a time. So I dumped all those trees in the background, and then I used the boxwood to kind of layer in the shorter level and fill in any sky that was peeking through. And then I used picked a kind of an ornamental tree to bring up into the foreground, and that's where we're at now. So I think we're in good shape. We can keep adding some entourage objects, and when I look at this, I can tell, you know, we're going to see some cars parked right here, and maybe I'll throw some cars on the road just to show you exactly how that works. So let's get to it. I'm just going to go for our build mode. And for this, for cars, I always use a mass placement. So I'm going to go to place mode, and then underneath place mode is your mass placement. So, and then I want to mass place cars. All right, so I'll just click, I'm not too concerned that it's a boat. We're going to change that. I'll click once to start here, move my cursor, and click again here. So we've got the this guy rowing a boat over here. We need to swap him out with some cars. So I'll go over to my cars collection, and it seems like these, either it was Ever Fine or the skunk looking guys, I can select a car, Evermotion, yeah, those guys are good. I select one in my library, and then I click here to replace it. All right, and then I'm going to change the direction, and you can see that like the direction needs to be like -90. So if I double click on any slider in Lumion, I can type in -90 or any specific input. All right, and then I can bring up the number of items, something like that. I don't like that when people park that close to me. Let's back that off. Perfect. All right, so let's add a few more cars. All right, so like we have the same car, different colors over and over. So I'll just pick a different car and then click the plus sign. And now that's going to add some more variety. So pick a car, add the plus sign. Oh, I don't like that car. So we're going to go with, let's go to page 2. And here's a minivan. And I'll click on that one, swap that guy out. That's better. That was kind of like a extended town car or something. And then we can go over to like SUVs. And I find that all of these SUVs work pretty well. I like these a lot. Definitely not going to use the Hummer, and add that. And really when I'm looking for cars, I'm looking for things that are not going to stand out. I don't want a Hummer in there because that's going to be just really obvious and standing out. But you know, if you're rendering an army base, sure, that makes sense, but not for college campus here. All right, so that looks pretty good. You could add as many of these as you want, and then you can say, we'll just check OK. All right, so we're in good shape there. All right, so now while I'm hot on the cars here, I can add some cars on the road. So I can click here, hold Control, and we'll just kind of click down the right lane and keep clicking, and we're going to keep adding cars. All right, and then of course you could turn up the amount of cars, no problem. We're not going to have that many, but then we're going to change our direction so they're all in line, and adjust the number of cars. And then we'll randomize the spacing along this line. And I got to tell you a tip for you when you're adding these cars in. I do kind of tend to add a bunch of cars. I'll add more than I need, and then I'll come back with my delete tool and I'll just kind of thin them out and make it look the way I want to. All right, so that looks pretty good to me. I'm good with that. And then we'll just click again and hold Control, and we can do the right lane. So it's really fast. Lumion gives you the tools that you need to quickly populate your models. And if I want to add some cars parked over here, no problem at all. We'll just go like that and then change our direction. If you remember, that was -90. And then we'll adjust the number of items. We'll back those down, take away the spacing, and check OK. Let's go back to photo mode and check our view. So you can see not all of these cars showed up, but we do have some cars right here. You could thin those out, and let's see if we can adjust our view just a little bit so we can catch a little bit more of our context. So that's kind of cool, catching the cars off in the distance. And let me back up just a little bit more, and we're going to delete these cars that are kind of in my way. So I'm going to snapshot my view and go. I'll just build with effects, and that way I get right in here. I need to delete this car, and I need to delete this car. So I'll just kind of back out like that, go to my delete tool, and then get rid of these guys. So we don't need those, and let's see where that gets us. All right, yeah, that's good enough. And maybe I would scoot this one back just a touch, just so that if we want some sort of some sort of suggestion of cars driving, we can have that. So that's pretty cool. Kind of fills in. We've got a lot of different objects at different distances. It's not just a big foreground object. We've got a lot of variety here. But the thing that we're missing now is people. All right, so let's drop some people in here, and we're going to do the same technique. We're going to use the mass placement tool and get a nice variety of summertime people and just do some mass placements real quick. So let's hop back in and do that. I'll just go to build mode, and I'm going to work first on this kind of large sidewalk here. So I'll go to our place mode, make sure that I'm on people and animals, and we're going to do a mass placement, and we'll go from here all the way to the end like that. All right, and then we can turn up the number of items. That's fine, and we can also offset from the line. So you can see that if I slide this out, you can kind of get the coverage to have a random sprinkling of people along that line. And then I'm going to use, whenever I'm creating stills, I use the photorealistic people, and I'm going to need summertime people. All right, so we've got a lot of summertime people. That's pretty easy. So I'll click on the character, and then I can click to replace. All right, so I'm just going to kind of go pretty quickly here and just add a bunch of these people in, and really anyone who looks like they would be in a summer scene looks good to me, and I'm going to pick them. So load this up pretty quick. She's got kind of a hat on. We'll skip her. Of course, our rollerblader here, she's very summery. And we'll add them in, and let's see, go and add some more. All right, so really, it's best to have variety, because you don't want to have, you don't want to have, or you want to have as few repeating characters as possible. So we'll just add all these guys in, and I think we're in pretty good shape. That's going to be a lot of variety, and we're not actually going to use that many people. So add them in, and we'll go to the third page. Oh yeah, of course, guy walking the dog right there, and this guy in his shorts taking a look at what's going on. Perfect. All right, so now check it out. So here's all my people, and I can either back down the number of people. We can randomize that spacing a bit. You can move these sliders around until you get the look that you want. And like I said before, it's usually easier to add more than you need and then thin the herd selectively, And I can see that I've got like this guy repeating over and over, so I will go in and delete him, or I might even just like shift the number of items a little bit and see if it gets him out of there, although he's shown up quite a bit. So that's okay though. All right, so that's cool right there. I'll check okay. And then again over here, I'm gonna just zoom out, and I'll say from here, and I can hold control, and I can just move right down that sidewalk like that, and we can even go to the end just like that. All right, and then I'll kind of get back over here to my camera view like this, and then you can choose like how many people do you want. We definitely don't need that many. Man, this guy looking at the sun just shows up constantly. I like that, these two walking across the crosswalk. All right, so I'll click confirm, return to build mode, check my camera view, and see where we are at. All right, so I think that's perfect, looking good, and I'll scoot this group of girls here to the right maybe. And so to do that, I usually go to build with effects, and we'll just scoot them over here like that and check. And that way they're not just right up there in the main portion of the frame, and so that looks cool. I'm okay with that. All right, so we've got our people, we've got our trees, we've got our cars, but really what we need to do now is we need to get these objects onto the right layer. So remember, I was mentioning that Lumion is really good about like giving you these like smart selections, so you don't have to be hung up on like what layer you're on when you're building your scene. So what I'm going to do is use some of those advanced options, like selecting identical objects and selecting all objects in category, and that way we're going to make some quick smart selections, move things to the right layer, and we'll be on our way to rendering with effects. So let's do that. Let's get this layered up. All right, so I'm on my objects tab, and I'm on the select tool. You can see that right now everything has been going to the summer layer. All right. Now that's correct. I do want everything on the summer layer right now, but the cars I don't. So we're going to go back over to our transportation collection, or if you just want to be able to select anything, you can do select all categories. So now I can click on a car, and then I get these advanced options up here in the top right. And you know, the user interface was redesigned in Lumion 9. And I gotta say, it's just super slick how we can make these selections now. All of these items used to be so far buried in these context menus. And so look at this, select all objects in category. It selects all my cars. Now I can move over here to all seasons and move those cars to the layer all seasons. So I just click that little arrow below, and now all those cars are on the layer called all seasons. I've got my imports, and then I've got my summer. And so all my summer people and my summer trees, and we're good to go.